The ballroom shimmered under crystal chandeliers, each golden light reflecting off polished floors and the glittering attire of the guests. Waiters weaved between the tables with trays of champagne, while soft classical music floated through the air. I felt a familiar sense of detachment. These corporate galas were never my scene, but Anya had insisted I come, brushing off my protests with that irresistible smile of hers. As we stepped through the grand entrance, I caught glimpses of her colleagues laughing, exchanging business cards, and posing for photos. Anya squeezed my hand, her eyes bright with pride. "Come on, it'll be fun," she whispered, tugging me toward the crowd. I nodded, trying to match her excitement, though my mind scanned the room cautiously. And then I saw him, Mr. Petrov, the kind of man who seemed to command respect not through charm or skill, but through intimidation. He stood near the head table, glass of wine in hand, surveying the room like a predator in his domain. His gaze slid over me briefly, the faintest smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. The subtlety of disdain was unmistakable. He thought I was just another accessory to Anya's life, a footnote in a world he dominated. I smiled politely, letting him underestimate me. No one else could see it, but I recognized the aura of arrogance he carried, the way he measured power and status like a currency. That night, I realized, he had no idea who he was dealing with. Anya leaned close. "Ignore him. Let's just enjoy the evening," she whispered, her warmth calming the flicker of anticipation that had sparked in me. I nodded, feeling a curious mix of amusement and strategy. Tonight wasn't just about attending a work gala. It was about observing, waiting, and knowing that the balance of power might shift in ways Mr. Petrov could never predict. The music swelled as more guests arrived, laughter and chatter filling the room, oblivious to the silent game beginning between us. I took a slow sip of my drink, eyes discreetly following him. Every confident posture, every dismissive glance he threw around the room, only sharpened my focus. By the end of the evening, he would learn that appearances could be deceiving, and that the quiet man by Anya's side carried a presence far heavier than he imagined. I was standing near the drinks table, pretending to casually examine the sparkling glassware, when I felt it, the subtle shift in the room, a tension I hadn't noticed before. Mr. Petrov's sharp eyes had locked onto me. He strode over, each step precise, the kind of calculated movement designed to intimidate. I straightened my posture, keeping my face calm, though my pulse quickened, not from fear, but from anticipation. "And who is this?" His voice cut through the background chatter like a knife, loud enough for a few nearby colleagues to glance over. There was that smirk, the kind that says, "I am superior, and you are nothing." "Ah, just someone tagging along." His words dripped with condescension, designed to belittle, to expose weakness. I met his gaze steadily, refusing to flinch. "Yes," I said softly, the faintest smile playing on my lips, "I'm here with Anya." My voice was calm, measured, composed enough to mask the fire simmering beneath. He chuckled, a cold, hollow sound. "I hope you're enjoying the evening, even if you don't belong in this world," he added, eyes scanning me as if trying to read a name or a title that could justify my presence. The irony wasn't lost on me. Little did he know, the world he thought he controlled was connected to mine in ways he could never imagine. Around us, small murmurs began. People noticed the tension, the subtle clash of personalities that didn't belong in polite conversation. Yet, I didn't raise my voice. I let him make the first move. I let him think he had the upper hand. "You seem confident for someone whose business I know nothing about," he sneered, a trace of unease hidden beneath his arrogance. I smiled wider, deliberately enigmatic, letting him stew in his assumptions. Inside, I relished the moment. He didn't know who I really was. Not my career, not my influence, not the deals I orchestrated that shaped industries. In his mind, he had reduced me to a mere accessory, a husband accompanying a successful woman. But tonight, I had the power of observation, patience, and timing on my side. I sipped my drink slowly, letting the silence stretch. His smirk faltered slightly. The first cracks in his arrogance had begun. The evening had passed in a haze of laughter, applause, and polite conversation, but my focus never wavered from Mr. Petrov. He had regained some composure after our brief confrontation, but I could see the subtle tension in his shoulders, the slight flicker of doubt in his eyes whenever I moved through the room. Then came the announcement that would change everything. The host stepped to the podium, a microphone in hand, and began speaking about a new partnership that would secure the company's biggest deal of the year. The crowd leaned in, curiosity piqued. My name was mentioned. Slowly at first, as if they expected someone else, and then the realization hit the room. All thanks to our distinguished partner, the host said, Mr. My full name, whose expertise and vision have made this deal possible. A collective gasp filled the ballroom. Heads turned, whispers spread like wildfire, and Mr. Petrov's confident facade shattered in an instant. His face drained of color, his wine glass trembling slightly in his hand. The arrogance that had ruled the room just minutes ago evaporated, replaced by disbelief and panic. I walked toward the podium, my steps steady and deliberate. The murmur of the crowd followed me like a wave. Colleagues whispered behind their hands, trying to piece together who I really was. Mr. Petrov opened his mouth, then closed it again, unsure whether to confront me or disappear entirely. When I reached the stage, I offered a polite nod and a calm smile. It's been a pleasure to support Anya's team, I said, my tone professional but carrying the quiet weight of authority. The results speak for themselves. Every eye in the room was on us now. The truth of my identity, a powerful investor, the architect of the very deal Mr. Petrov had hoped to claim credit for, was undeniable. The humiliation he had tried to inflict on me earlier now reflected in every glance, every sideways look, every shallow breath he took. He had underestimated me, as so many had. But I had let him play his game, carefully, silently. Now, the consequences unfolded without me needing to utter a single cutting word. Justice had arrived in the form of recognition, respect, and a crowd's collective awe, leaving Mr. Petrov powerless, stripped of the arrogance he wielded like armor. I stepped back, letting Anya take the applause, but the damage was done. Mr. Petrov would never see me, or underestimate me, the same way again. The applause still echoed in the ballroom as I stepped down from the stage, a composed smile on my face. Anya's eyes sparkled, half with excitement, half with disbelief. I can't believe you just did that, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly as she hugged me. I chuckled softly, the sound low and satisfied. This wasn't about bragging, it was about seeing justice quietly unfold. Across the room, Mr. Petrov was a shadow of the man he had been just hours ago. He lingered near the drinks table, sipping wine with forced composure, avoiding my gaze entirely. The confident predator who had tried to humiliate me now seemed smaller, diminished in the eyes of the very team whose admiration he had sought. His colleagues whispered behind his back, stealing glances at him and then at me, piecing together the truth. I walked beside Anya, blending into the crowd, letting the moment simmer. No words were needed, the balance had shifted. The silent weight of truth was far more powerful than any verbal confrontation. Tonight, the arrogance Mr. Petrov wore like armor had crumbled, not through anger or conflict, but through patience, presence, and the quiet revelation of identity. Later, as we stepped onto the balcony for a brief escape from the bustling crowd, Anya linked her arm with mine. You made him realize everything, she said softly. I smiled, looking out at the city lights, calm and composed. Sometimes, I said, the most effective power is the kind people never see coming. Below us, the party continued, oblivious to the personal drama that had just unfolded. Mr. Petrov's colleagues murmured about the mysterious man who had saved the company, the husband no one suspected could command such influence. He would carry the sting of that evening for months, maybe years. And I would carry the satisfaction of knowing that humility, timing, and quiet confidence can topple arrogance without a single harsh word. We returned inside, blending into the crowd once more. Anya's team came up to congratulate me, and I received polite nods and handshakes, each one reinforcing the invisible victory that had taken place. Mr. Petrov avoided me until the very end, leaving the ballroom earlier than expected, his pride thoroughly bruised. As we finally left, Anya squeezed my hand again. You were incredible tonight, she said, her smile full of awe. I just shook my head, grinning. No, we were incredible. But some lessons, they're better learned quietly. The night ended not with a confrontation, but with a perfect, unspoken triumph. Proof that sometimes, the greatest victories are the ones that others don't even realize they've lost.